Just start singing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Xmas Your Enthusiasm. This is episode 7, and this week, I don't know why I keep saying that, we're going to be talking about the Ida Funkhouser Roadside Memorial episode from season 6, episode 3. It premiered on September 23rd, 2007. I don't know why I keep telling y'all when these premiered. Like, who gives a shit? Like, what is that gonna matter? But anyway, although this is, I think, our third episode already from season 6, which is a little strange. 3 out of 7 already. I mean, I'm not complaining because that just means at least there's Leon in there, so I can't complain too much. You know what popped in my head when I was just about to say that? The phrase, "Hey, I don't hate it." I fucking hate that. It's like when people were always saying, threw up in my mouth a little bit. I fucking hated that. Both of these things, ironically, I feel exactly about each of these sayings, but I cannot bring myself to say them in an unironic way. I don't know if that makes any sense. It does to me. Maybe you people can break it down like an audio fucking Zapruder film. Would love to see it. Also, birthday shout out. Happy birthday to my boy Shep. He knows who he is. I know he's listening. Happy birthday, buddy. All right, let's get into the episode. Before I do, don't do. I sound like Parker Posey. Do. God, if I could do voices, I would do Parker Posey, White Lotus. I would do an entire episode as her if I could. God damn it. I've disappointed you people, but oh well. Just real quick, remember, this is not a review of the show, of the episode in any way. I'm just going through each of Larry's transgressions, which a word you know by now I fucking hate, but I'm not smart enough to come up with a synonym. Larry's transgressions, big and small, and I'm keeping a running track. Sometimes he wins these, sometimes he loses, and I'm keeping a running track, going through all the episodes to get an idea of, was Larry the asshole? Maybe he was right most of the time. And so far, Larry's record so far is he's 28 wins and 27 losses. So pretty good. He's above 500. Nobody would have fucking guessed that. So the Ida Funkhouser Roadside Memorial, the big synopsis is Funkhouser's mother has died. I don't think we ever met her. We love Funkhouser, though, so... shout out to Funkhouser, R.I.P. to the R.I.P. because he's R.I.P. too, so R.I.P. double up the R.I.P. Funkhouser's much love. Anyway, so the first transgression, throw up in my mouth. I did hate that. I did hate saying that. Anyway, the first one we see is Larry and Susie arguing over who should get condolences, there's a couple of these in this episode. This is hilarious. It's an almost perfect Curb moment. I put it in the absurd category in that it's weirdly relatable. Like, it's something you could think of, but nobody would actually do it. So it's partly weirdly relatable and just weird. But we love seeing it. I mean, it's fucking hilarious. Nobody would have the balls to do it, but you love seeing. This is one of those golden, perfect Curb moments. And we give the win to Larry just for not being the one to bring it up first, showing at least a little social couth, which is rare for him. So we scratch the belly when we can. So right off the bat, Larry goes up 1-0 this episode. On a side note, Jeff said that Funkhouser's mother was driving her wheelchair when she got hit. But what do we say? Driving wheelchairs? I mean, I guess we don't say riding a wheelchair, but we say riding my bike. We ride bikes, even though you're propelling yourself just like a wheelchair. Is this anybody's ever thought of? Am I a genius? Should I be selling this to all the comedians that are letting me down now? Probably not. But anyway, that popped out of me. Driving her wheelchair. I don't know. Anyway. Next up, we have the Larry versus Susie trying to argue about, because they're trying to get their kids, Susie's kid, And then, what's that kid's name? Something with an S. Samantha, Stevie. Fucking, I'll think of it. And then Larry's kids, the blacks, those two kids. There's a boy and a girl. They're about Susie's kids' age. And now they're arguing because they're trying to get into this school that's supposed to be so great, whatever it is. And now they're arguing about which kids are smarter. And it's like, please, Larry shouldn't be allowed. It should be against the law for Larry, the character, to even pretend he could pick these kids out of a fucking lineup. Come on. At least Susie knows her kid. Come on, Larry. Nice try, but we're supposed to believe it. And even the whole, again, I don't want to review the episode stuff, but like, at some point they're like, we've been, working so hard for so long to get these kids into the school. And it's like, didn't they just show up 2 weeks ago? And like, after being displaced from their home from a devastating hurricane, obviously they're just drenched in trauma, but they've been added 24/7 to get into this private school that Larry David could just fucking buy if they wanted. Anyway, Larry can't win that one. That's ridiculous. So back to 1-1, tied up. And right away, we have another classic dipped in gold universal wish we could do this Kirby enthusiasm scene that we can all relate to, when Larry's they're getting ice cream, and of course the lady in front of him is trying out all the samples. And any of us in that situation would dream of just being able to tell, knock it the fuck off. None of us would do it. But she's absolutely ridiculous. I understand you want to try all the fucking samples you want. It's no fucking sweat off my balls. What do I care? But once people are piling up behind you, that's my Thursday night. Just move to the side at least and say, hey, I'm going to let these people get their thing before I go back to being a fucking pig here for no reason. She's ridiculous. Come on now. Larry wins that one 2-1. Fourth transgression. Why did I fucking number these? Like, nobody's keeping it. Who gives a shit? So this is the big, Funkhouser's got the money he owes Larry. He owes Larry $50 for something. And even though Funkhouser's mother just died and he's mourning and everything, Larry's just obsessed with getting the $50 back. But of course, Funkhouser pulls out some gross, disgusting $50 bill from his sneaker that he's been jogging in. And yeah, all right, I understand, Larry, it's gross, but A, you shouldn't have brought it up anyway. It's, of course, absurd. I wouldn't bring this up to anybody if their mother just died, and I'm not going to the Larry David bank. Just take it, bleach your fucking hand, boil it in fucking water or whatever you want. I don't care. Have him put the fucking bill, the $50 bill himself in one of your jean pockets. Just let him slide it into your pocket. It won't make you gay. Don't worry. And then you can just throw your fucking $1,000 jeans into the washer, if you can fucking find where your washing machine is, you outrageously rich shithead. And just let the fucking 50 get washed in the washing machine. Larry, you're ridiculous. I should have counted this as double, because for even bringing it up, and I'm going to keep it to single. So that's another loss. 2-2 this episode. Now, same conversation. Larry decides he wants to get up in Funkhouser's. God, I miss Funkhouser. Funkhouser's face about not getting a return call when he left a message of his condolences. I mean, I understand sometimes we like the absurd curb moments, but this is just this isn't even funny. It's just stupid. Come on, Larry. So he's down 2-3. And now we get another one, same scene. They get in an argument. Funkhouser calls himself an orphan, and which Larry says it's ridiculous. And Larry's right, but he needs to shut the fuck up. Who cares? If Funkhouser right now just is, we already know how upset he was when his father died, because it was the famous carpool scene. He's upset, didn't want to share his seat at Dodger Stadium. How about just shutting the fuck up, Larry, and just nodding your head or whatever? But it was funny because there was another scene in another episode where Richard Lewis confronts Larry about his voice machine. He stole his voice message, and he was like, that's all I've got. My parents are dead. I don't have any parents. And Larry's making fun of him, like, my parents are dead, even though there'd be 150 or whatever. So it's funny. This is like another scene like that, but Larry, come on, that's ridiculous. You lose that one. So that is a hat trick. Now he's 2-4. That is a rare hat trick. 3 LD, 3 Larry losses in one fucking scene. Congratulations, Larry. Wow, you stunk it up that scene. Sorry, buddy. I am biased. I do love the funk. All right, now we got cut to the next one. We got the girls, Cheryl and Vivica A. Fox. Num, num, num. Why do I keep forgetting her name on the show? Sorry. They confront Larry for not bringing them Sammy. That's Steve. That's Steve. Sammy. That's Jeff and Susie's daughter. That's right. Okay. So now it's the girls against Larry. Larry, after this confrontation at the ice cream store, comes home, and they're like, "Where did you bring some for us?" And he's like, "Oh no, sorry, I didn't." And all right, that's bad enough. He's obviously going to lose, but who gets a single serving of ice cream at the store, gets in their car and drives home, and then sits at home and eats it? Who does that? Larry, just fucking shovel it down your fucking fat gullet at the store by yourself like a normal fucking person. Who fucking does that? I mean, fuck you already for not thinking of bringing it home for them, but then you pull that bullshit. I mean, and eat in front of them. Who fucking does that? Eat at the fucking store, or at least in the car, like a normal person. And then in the same scene, now they go after him. They claim the woman was right to try every fucking sample in the world. They're wrong. Once again, Larry wins that one. So now Larry's up 3-5 in the episode. He's clawing his way back after that rare hat trick, at least so far, running into Funkhouser. Anyway, next, another thing I did notice that jumped out in this scene. Larry said something, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this since I'm 6 years old, which I've noticed old timers always say that, and maybe it's like New York, people from up north. Is it an old northern thing? Like, I think I would say since I was 6 years old, but he'd say something like, I'm playing soccer since I'm 6 years old. Whatever. To me, that's odd. I always notice when somebody says it. I could never do it, but I always notice when people do it. It's always strange to me. Anyway, next up, 9th transgression. Like anybody gives a fuck. I don't like the numbers. Nobody cares, and I don't know why I keep using the word transgression, but we live our lives and move on. Larry against the painter who's painting something at his house. I don't know, and he decides. Of course, the bill is exactly $50 because that's perfect. And then Larry asks the guy, "Let me ask you something. How much of this time were you in the bathroom?" And anyway, obviously this whole thing is ridiculous. Why would you bring it up? Just pay him the $50. But he tries to pay him with the stank $50 bill. Of course, the guy sees it and is like, "No." So now Larry pulls out some other change and bills, and he basically is like, "You can take this shitty $50 bill or $45 and some change." Like he's basically shaking the guy down for $5. Although it's like, then it's also like, hey, make him cut a fucking check. In 2007, some old motherfucker like Larry is still writing checks. Trust me. And also, you weren't going to tip him. Like, I know Larry doesn't like to pass around the shekels, but I know Larry doesn't like to be embarrassed. And obviously, not tipping some guy who comes in, a painter, word's going to get around. So on top of that, you didn't fuck that, Larry. You fucked this one up all around. 3-6. But Larry rebounds because now he goes back and apologizes to the school lady, but she shits on his apology, so fuck her. Sometimes it helps to have a bigger asshole in the room. So right now, that's a win for him. So his score right now for this episode is 4-6. All right, let's just say this. So, Larry has stolen even more flowers from Funkhouser's grave site or memorial site. Not only did he give flowers to the school woman that he's trying to apologize to for yelling about the ice cream, and he's got to get them into the school, kids in the school. He steals more flowers from Funkhouser's mother's memorial site by the road, and brings them to Cheryl and Vivica Fox. I'm starting to offend myself. Why can't I fucking remember her name? Anyway, and because he's got to make up and whatever. Okay, great. And then 2 minutes later, Funkhouser walks in, and Blammo immediately sniffs out these flowers that are in another room. He can sniff, like, does he rent his fucking nose out to dogs? Or sharks in the water? Like, Jesus, flowers in another room. Flowers that have spent days now, there's a couple days next to a highway, and yet somehow he can still pick out the scent of the lilac, white, lavender, whatever. It's so stupid. Larry, just for this thing existing, wins this one. 5 and 6 for this episode. Now we get to another magical scene. The Belfi perfume. Larry's going to kiss up some more to Cheryl. She likes a certain perfume. He goes to the shop. He goes to the store to go get it. And he walks in, and it's one of those fucking things where there's 2 lines going. One line's going faster than the other. You try to pick which line, and then you start gauging yourself. If you do move to the other line, then you have to stress, because then you're tracking the person in front of you. So then you see if you would have gotten to the counter faster if you'd stayed in the line instead of moving. It's all that fucking stress and anxiety. In the end, Larry lost. He ended up, he moved. So what would have been his spot if he hadn't moved. Of course, that guy gets the last jar of, is it jar? Perfume jars? Yeah, right? That's not tacky. The last jar of Belfi perfume. And Larry rightly so flips out. Just have one fucking line. Why have these weird setups with these lines where people have to shuffle through? It's nothing but stress. Unless you're a total fucking psychopath. It's nothing but confusion and stress. Unless you're a psychopath like these old motherfuckers. They'll shuffle in, act like, try to sleepwalk by you. Oh, I'm old. Fuck that. I guess Larry's 100% right. One fucking line. You people know I stand for line justice. Period. So does Larry, and he's right. Maybe I'll be a bottle of Belfi perfume for a bottle. That's what it is. Not a jar. Bottle. Sorry. For Halloween. Anyway, Larry's tied it up. He's 6 and 6 for this episode. Oh, but he immediately blows it. Because now he's taking more of the flowers. When he's taking the flowers to the school woman to make up to her, he somehow gets in a snafu where he has to shove them into Susie's handbag because they're trying to suck up too. He gets busted, so now Susie and Jeff, they get kicked out too. So none of the kids, Susie and Jeff's kids, Sammy, or the black children, the little boy and the girl, they can't go to school all because of Larry and these stupid fucking flowers. The last transgression, Larry stealing the bottle of Belfi from Funkhouser's mother's memorial, whatever, in the living room. It's not even funny. It just feels like it's ripping off its own self, somehow its own joke within this episode. It's too much. A hat on a hat on a hat on a hat, whatever. So Larry's final score for this episode is 6 wins, 8 losses. I will say on top of this, a couple things. Great funeral nods. We didn't make it to the funeral because there was Larry and Funkhouser and Jeff. Great nods at the funeral. Very solemn, the right amount of solemness, whatever. Not over the top. Very well practiced. Very grown up. Very mature. Great funeral nods. I aspire to that. I always feel when I try to do it, I look like a fucking idiot and will be, called out because that's, in the middle of a funeral. That's who I'm thinking of, me. Anyway. Also, where the fuck was Leon? I mentioned how lucky we are that if we keep hitting these episodes when at least, it's a season with Leon. But once again, Leon, there's almost no Leon in this. just like the last episode. What the fuck are they doing? Gee, sir, we have Michael Jordan standing here. Would you like him in the game? No, thanks. How does that fucking work? I'm gonna get more and more fucking miffed. But even more surprising, I got to give Jeff credit. Not only were there no dumb Jeff shit scenes, but he had an incredible bit at the end when they're all kicked out of the school when he's yelling at Larry, "I'm fucked." And then he points at Susan. I have to live with this. And Susan just yells, "You better believe it." All-time great, hilarious scene from them. Probably doesn't get the love it deserves. Even I don't know if I've ever really noticed it or thought about it. It's not an iconic scene from Curb that people seem to think about. Maybe they should. I know I am. So I got to give it up. Jeff killed it. Of course, Susie did. Fantastic scene. So that's the Ida Funkhouser Roadside Memorial episode. We could argue, is taking the flowers that crazy? I mean, Larry could argue, look, you're my buddy, and I'm putting the flowers to good deed. They're doing good deeds in honor of his mother because they were supposed to be used to help get these kids into this school. Maybe if Larry had explained that to Funkhouser, R.I.P., we miss you, Funk. This whole thing could have been avoided, and Funkhouser and Larry could have felt good about doing it. But maybe, I don't know, maybe stealing flowers from the dead is crazy after all. Whatever. All right, great episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.